nonetheless. You've got one of those as well. Display link. Display bot.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it's running on mine.
Okay. So I just put yours as a separate.
Yeah, just grab it after this.
So I did this.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Peter Goodell, 2E0SQL, for a talk on the Raspberry Pi.
Okay, morning everyone. So sorry for getting in yesterday. It was packed more than we actually was expecting. This is a talk on the Raspberry Pi. It's the credit card size PC, which is that's what it means. So size of a credit card. If you've got rather a large credit card, but that's what it is. That one is done by RS, and Gav M1BXF noticed that the soldering was a bit suspect on but they're quite good. If you order from RS, there's quite a long lead time. Farnell's got them in stock, or did have Friday. So if you're expecting it on Pi's, not this one. So it's a tiny computer designed to teach young people to understand computing and how to program. So if you've had any experience of computing in school, it's pretty much Word, Office, and if you're lucky, a bit of HTML. Not always, and I know when I was there it was pretty much a Microsoft sellism. So this is designed to be a bit more hands-on. It's designed to teach programming, not complex programming. So it uses, there's tools on it which use a program called Scratch, which is a visual way of programming. And you can use it to do games and animation. And it's more drag and drop, simple programming. And if you're into the more sort of nitty gritty, maybe slightly older, you can use Python, which is what they sell with the pre-install with the Pi, and that allows you to access the system and do basic programming. Of course, as it's open source, you can use whatever programming language you like. So if you're into C, Python, Perl, or any of the others, it will all work on the Pi, as long as it will compile. This is open source software. So that is the Model B going around. That's sort of what it looks like. That is the first version. There is now a version 2. If you buy from Farnell, you're now buying version 2. The main difference is there is actually mounted pods in it, and there is some protection systems in place. So if you want the new one, Farnell stock the new one now, and it's also fabricated in the UK, in North Wales. If you're buying from RS, it's still coming from Asia. So you can take your choice. So there's two models. The Model A, which is designed to be around £15, is not currently available. It will be launched before Christmas. It will be about £15. Worth noting, it's going to have one USB port and no network. You can get around that though if you've got a wireless cards, USB, and you've got hubs. Stick these in and power it off there. You can get Ethernet and Wi-Fi. You'll need to make sure it's powered. You can pick them up for less than £5 on most of the computing websites. But that's how you can get around that. So if you want a cheap PC, £15 is a good start. Then there's the Model B. It's designed for the hacker type. It's around £30 including VAT, which seems to be a reasonable price. They keep selling out. They're making roughly 3,000 per day. And they're selling out within an hour once they go on the shop, and most of them, half of them generally sold out when they're pre-ordered. So the Model B has the same amount of RAM. It's got 2 USB ports and a 100 megabit Ethernet port, not gigabit. So if you plug it into your network at home and you've got a gigabit switch, just remember that it's going to take all the other network cards down to a gigabit. from a gigabit to 100 meg. It has a very advanced graphics processor on board. It's the equivalent of an Xbox, the original Xbox. It will do 3D graphics well, and you can do video. It will play Blu-ray without any problem. So this is the basic layout of the board. There is two video out. There's HDMI at 1080p. There is a composite, so you can plug it into the old tellies. So the idea is that if you buy a Pi, you should be able to run it off of existing stuff in the house. So if you've got a flat screen telly, not HDMI, or if you've got an older style telly, especially if you're a young child, Mum and Dad's probably got one in the loft, or someone in the family's probably got one that you can steal and beg and borrow, and you can plug it into those. It also got audio. It's only audio out. So if you want to put audio in for radio usage, you're going to need an external sound card. They're about £3 from most online retailers. If you go on eBay, you can probably get it for less, but just be a bit careful in my areas. Two USB, an Ethernet port, and it powers by a micro USB. Word of note, it doesn't work with all micro USB chargers. And you've got to be careful with some of the cheap chargers that you can get on the market. There was a note on their website the other day about counterfeit Apple chargers, where they were damaging not only the board but the peripherals plugged into it. So one person had their flat screen telly taken out due to overvolting.
So, can it charge, or can it be powered from a USB port from a computer? So USB
as long as
micro?
it depends on the PC, I believe. You can do it from a powered USB hub though.
I've done it from a powered USB hub before.
So you've got the option.
I didn't realise.
You can also power it from the GPIO pins. So if you don't mind learning about the voltages and putting some protection on the pins, you can power it from that if you want to put it on an external power supply. And people have. So it comes with a number of pins, which is a serial interface, and this allows you to access serial ports, and you can use it to control turning off LEDs, relays, whatever you like. And you can use it to access expansion boards. And then of course, the operating system runs on an SD card, plugged in at the bottom. If you go around, it's on the reverse side for everything else. With the SD cards, just because it says class 10 on the SD card doesn't mean it's going to work fantastically fast in Pi. You can sometimes get away with class 4s, and on the website, most people say what they're running SD card wise and what sort of speeds they're getting. You should be able to get an SD card for about £6. Most people seem to use Transcend. So if it seems to correlate if the Pis are out of stock, most of the Transcend SD cards around Europe are sold out as well. So this is an 8 gig one. There's a shop, My Memory, which is based in Jersey. They sell the 8 gig ones for about £6 including postage. So you can always order a couple. There's also most of the companies selling the Pis will sell you an SD card with the operating pre-installed system. It's not too bad. You can do it that way, although it's just as easy to buy the card yourself and it's a lot cheaper and just flash it. If you've got a modern laptop with an SD card slot, there's software available. You just push the card in, open up, download the ISOs, and just drop the operating system onto the card, and then it just plugs in instantly and it will work. So it's up to you. Mac will sell them as a kit. Farnell do, and so are RX. I think they're shipping the cards for about £12. So you'll get the reasonably most up-to-date one that they're shipping. But worth noting that the operating systems are changing regularly, so you might have to flash the card yourself at some point.
What program would you advise using to flash the SD card?
It comes with one by standard on their website, which is I think Win32 Imager. But if you've got Linux, then you'll probably know what you're doing anyway, and it's got it all built in. So it is pure open source. This will not run Windows, or I don't think anyone's tried it. if you're bonkers enough, you could. So it's designed to run, which they recommend Raspberry, which is a flavour of Debian. If you've used Ubuntu before, it's very similar. It's also available as Arch Linux, Qton Pi, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Android. Android will be released within the next month if the foundation can raise roughly £5,000 towards a gameathon, which a young person is doing to raise money for a charity. If they reach the total, they'll release Android in a buggy state for everyone to try. If not, everyone waits till it's stable. So, if you want it before then, you might want to have a look on the website and donate.
What is ISO, please, Pete?
ISO is the package of how the operating system's provided. So instead of it being multiple files, it's packaged down into one file, and then you read the ISO, and then it's mounted onto the SD cards. So it's just instead of multiple files. So on boot up, it sort of looks like this. This is actually a terminal screen on my PC at home. You're presented with basic logon screen. It doesn't completely instantly boot up into a lovely GUI. This is how operating systems work. They're not pretty to start with. So you're given a basic command prompt where you can access everything. If you do want to start the GUI, you type in start X, and it boots in to the lovely desktop. It takes a while to start up. Remember, it's only a 700 meg processor. If you turn it on turbo mode, it will go up to a gig if possible. And once it is running, it looks quite good. These will not be there by default. That's just because it was at my home one, which is running all the time. That's ARS stuff running at the bottom all the time. But it's very similar to Windows. You've got the clock and stuff down the bottom. You can use these to turn the PC off and check what's running. That tells you the CPU usage. If you get into heavy coding and stuff and start compiling stuff, this just looks like a Greek block. So you soon know if you're doing something with it. The little sort of wings down there, that is the start button. So it's not like Windows where you've got the big click here. That is it. And it'll pop up with a start menu. You've got browser, terminal windows, help files, Scratch, and the Python IDE. So just that.
Do you get hot?
Pardon?
Do you get hot?
It gets warm, but not hot.
What's the board dissipation in what's?
Unless anyone else does. But before I had the cases for it, I used to sit on the desk and it didn't get hot. And before they officially released the turbo mode, I was overclocking mine, and it was just getting warm to touch, but it wasn't really hot, and it was running for 3 months solid. So, what can you do within the shack? It's all okay. It's designed to teach computing, but it's always got uses in the shack. So possibilities are endless. If it doesn't exist, it is open source. If you know how to code it, you can code it. But out of the box, it will support most of this. Interfacing with little hardware, we've got the likes of Arduinos, and slowly being released now are add-on boards for the GPIO pins on the Pi. All-Star, Echo Linux D-Star if you're into that sort of thing. It will do it. There's a guy in Germany which does D-Star using a Raspberry Pi. From what I understand, he reboots the Pi every day just to make sure it behaves. But it does work for D-Star, and Echo Linux and All-Star is known to be working. There's a guy in Australia which has got pre-compiled packages which are working out of the box. Digital modes, like with anything, if you used Linux, you probably installed FL Digi. It works pretty much out of the box. To install most of this, it's opening up the terminal window, typing in apt-get space install space fl-digi. Press enter and it installs it. And then it's just a matter of configuring RIG control and sound cards. So obviously to use digital mode, you're going to need an external sound card. Beacons, it will do whisper, worth remembering that there is no onboard clock. So you're going to have to use NTP. Or if you fancy a challenge, you can add an external clock using the GPIO. It has been done, it's documented, and that's one way around it. Else, if you use NTP, you can use that to keep reasonably stable time. If you're into satellites, you can use it for satellite tracking, grid control, and it will decode other satellite pictures. Obviously not the high resolution pictures, but 137 mode it decodes very nicely, and I've managed to be quite successful with that. It will do packet. I've been running one as an APRS iGate in Oxford, and it's been running 24 hours for the most since I got it, so about 3 months now. Works well. There's multiple packages for packet, and obviously it's built into Linux anyway. So if you're into that sort of stuff, it will work. Logging, there is multiple packages for logging. If you're into contesting, there's a guy in Germany, DJ1YK, who's created quite a few logging packages for contesting, which work on the command line. So if you're not wanting to put a monitor on this, you can use the console. But if you're not into that, there's lots of GUI applications that you can use, CQR log, and they work really well. So this is Extra, which is what I use for RS. As you can see, that's home. It's pretty quiet in Oxford with APRS. It's normally just me and G0RS. And sometimes you get drivers passing by, and I think Ian's on it somewhere. Passing by. So this runs, I've got an FT7800E in the check, and a Fox view with a built-in TNC, which is connected to the Pi via a USB serial, and it powers this. But if you don't want to use the TNC, there's a sound modem, which you can use the sound card, and it'll work just as well. It does depend on the sound card, though. I recommend there to be issues. So you have to really try and see what works best. If you're into satellite, this is gpredict. A lot of people seem to be buying the Pi and installing this. This was when it was controlling my setup at home. At home, I normally use a PC-based program called SatPC32, which controls my G5500 rotator and antennas and 910 iPhone radio. But this does equally well. This was running my satellite kit for the day, and I was able to use FM satellites, SSB satellites that were controlling the rig, and it was all automated. So this worked well, and it's also nice and visual. So logging, I've got to give my own stuff a plug, I guess. This is CloudLog. It is a PHP web-based logging program. It's done so it will run on the Pi. It requires Apache, PHP, and MySQL. It will work on something other than MySQL, as long as you don't mind recreating the database. And this will run, if you run it on the Pi, you can log in, you can go to the IP address of the Pi in any web browser and log QSOs. So if you don't operate from home a lot, or if you're out portable a lot and you carry around laptops and you've also got internet, I can log anywhere. So if I'm out playing satellites and stuff, I can log directly using a tablet on my laptop. This does also support rig control. There's a program by Rob, M0VSC, which currently is Windows-based, and supports most of the modern Alecraft, Yaesu, and Nikon rigs. And you can use it to feed in the frequency in the node. So, FLDigi, this will work with either the amateur version or the modified one for bloom tracking. And you can use this for RETI, CW, PSK, obviously not JT modes. It struggles a little bit, sadly. but all the basics of all the normal modes will work. Recommend having turbo mode running if you're going to do data modes. Else, it's a little bit sluggish, and depending on the USB sound card, it can sometimes stutter a bit. So it's something you have to play with until it goes right. You can adjust the memory usage in the Pi, and that does help. So as with anything which is Linux based, it's a tinkering tool.
How much memory does it have?
About 256 MB. Back Pentium 2 style, please. Okay, so this is RTL TCP. It's a part of the RTL SDR package, and it works with the £15, well, 10 to £15 SDR DVB-T receivers. So I plug it into the Pi and just leave it in the shack. I can listen to all around broadcast radio, airband, all the amateur, VHF, UHF. So if you're into listening around, you can do it remotely. So this runs on the Pi. If you want to leave it running all the time, put it in a daemon or some sort of screen session, and then you can just leave it running all the time and log out. Then using desktop, this is SDR Sharp. This was running on my laptop when I took it. This is Radio 1 on display. It will decode RDS at the top. So this is the actual signal. This was with no actual aerial connected apart from a little patch about like that in central Oxford. That is a secondary product of Radio 1 in Oxford. If you use tools on the left-hand side, this disappears instantly. So you don't have to muck around with tweaking settings and stuff. It's all built in. There's a DSP algorithm which takes it out, which is rather cool. If you're not into Windows, don't worry. This works on Linux and also OS X. SDR Sharp's also open source. It's mono. Is the framework it's built in, so it will work in Linux as well. But GQRX will work on OS X as well. But if you're into that, it works the same way. Very similar to SDR Sharp actually, and it works well. You can either use it with RTL or the funky dongle. If you don't want to use TCP/IP and RTL TCP, this will work with the dongles just plugged into the machine. You can do raw SDR with the Pi. It can be a little bit delayed, and sometimes it stutters quite a bit if you're listening to wideband FM. But if you're listening to just standard FM radio, sort of like repeaters and stuff like that, or beacons, it's not too bad. Hardware. It's obviously designed just to be more than an OS and embedded hardware. So you can plug in Arduinos. This is I think second to the current Arduino. So there's the GPIO pins, which gives you serial interfaces and methods to turn things on and off. There's SPI, which they will use to release a webcam. This is due to be released in the next couple of months, I believe. So you'll be able to plug a webcam into the funky dongle. And I suppose for amateur radio usage, you can use it for monitoring the shack, or if you're into SSTV and beacons and stuff like that, you can do it so it just takes pictures and sends them every now and then. So there's quite a lot of scope for it. Arduino, as it's USB, and then it goes on to do its own thing. It works out the box, and people are doing some rather interesting things with it. So this is an Arduino with an Ethernet shield. This is a GS232 Arduino rotator controller, which is Ethernet based. So you can plug this into a rotator, plug it into your network, and then with some programming, you've got access to controlling the rotator, and it also has built-in relays. So if you're using preamps and stuff like that, you can remotely switch them on and off. So if you're not interested in the rotator part, you might actually just be interested in the relay side of this. But the shields are an extra with the Arduino, and they vary. You can pick them up sometimes on eBay for £5 to £10. The Ethernet-based ones are sometimes a little bit more expensive. You can be paying up to £30 to £40. So, what Can I use it for outside of radio? Depends. You can use it as a missile launcher, controlling your brew, and if you want to go around the local town, if you live in London, I suppose you can go in the Pelican Crossing, or street lights, and use it to control those in your living room. It's your choice. If you like the challenge and you've got a screwdriver, the traffic lights will be good up. Or go down the local scrapyard and buy one.
Are those photos all taken at yours?
They're not taken at mine. So if you want your own missile launcher and potential some superpower, it'll be fun. So XMMBC, or XBMC rather, is a multimedia package which is designed for Linux, but they have a Raspberry Pi distribution. It's quite popular. Lots of people are buying Pis and then screwing them onto the back of the telly. You can get lots of boards and cases now, so you have to mount them on. This is a my Pi case. They have a lead time of about 2 weeks, I think, currently. They're made down towards Cornwall somewhere, made of ABS plastic. They're about £6, I think, now. And they have all the holes to screw them onto the backs of tellers, if you're into that sort of thing, or you can just put them somewhere near to the telly. This will allow you to watch video over the network. It will even work with iPlayer, and most of your on-demand TV stuff. Worth noting that you're going to need some codecs to watch some video. Licensing is available from the Raspberry Pi Foundation. It's less than a $5. There's no excuse to not buy a license from them. They provide you with a license key, which is no more than a string of text. You add it to a TXT file on the Pi, and that's the codec working. It takes a credit card, and that will give you MPEG-2, I believe, and VC1 if you want to do video. So any questions? The Pi is going around, and I've got the case if anyone wants to look at it.
In terms of the EMC,
yep.
What sort of noise did it chuck out? If I had a 2 metre handheld,
I sit it next to the 2 metre 910 all the time, and I don't even hear it.
I can see you might need an HDMI switch on a tele configuration. Switch say between Skybox and this. Any recommendations?
Not personally. I've never used a switch box with it.
You can pick them up in Meplan.
But yeah, they are available. Yep.
Is it USB 2?
No. It's USB 1.
2.
Is it 2? Yep. Stand corrected. Thanks, Rob.
Does your weight tight the various links?
It does. There is only one USB bus on the chip, and so the USB bandwidth is shared with the Ethernet port. So if you're doing a lot of network traffic, it will switch out the USB stick. Thanks, Rob.
Any other questions? Yeah, Flo?
What's it like to Arch on? Because I understand Arch is quite difficult if you have to compile it if you put it on a laptop or a desktop.
It's pre-compiled.
Pre-compiled, so.
It's like the Raspberry.
So
you don't have to compile it. If you do like compiling stuff, you can try and put Gentoo on it. It's actually I know a couple of people who've tried it. Yep.
Have you tried using it outside to control antenna stuff and that, like ATUs? What's the lowest temperature?
I'm not sure the lowest temperature it can operate at. I haven't taken it to any extremes personally. I haven't seen anyone else.
Have you used the GPU itself much? Because that's way more powerful than the ARM processor.
Yes. Used it for playing around with 3D graphics and stuff. Qt's got quite a nice package for doing 3D modelling and stuff like that with it.
Peter, on the website, have you done links, tutorials, sort of things which we're running at home, like doing APRS?
Yeah, there's guides on my website which tell you how to do it.
Which will show you exactly how to do it.
Yeah,
because I think that will help a lot of people, because I think that's what Robstone was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
And I think that there's other people who are in my age group who struggle to play around with stuff like this. And we'd like to go somewhere where we can see who's the pros doing it, and then we can copy it ourselves using them as
Yeah.
guides.
The guides are all available for most of the stuff that I do.
Yeah, there's now a magazine available online, downloadable, free, called the Magpie, which has got projects in it every month.
Monthly or quarterly.
You mentioned that RS make them in Asia and
Yeah.
primarily in Wales. And the Asian ones are manufactured, they source components as well.
They do. All the manufacturers are sourcing their own components.
Right. Bear in mind.
Yeah.
Can it do MPEG to encode?
I believe it can. It might take a long time though.
I think it's hardware accelerated as well.
Yeah.
You need the same codec. So if you play the decode code, I believe that includes the encode. as
It
well.
does. Yeah.
And how do you input the video?
Pardon?
How would you input the video?
Input video. USB. Put it on an external card or something like that. Or you can download it from the net. Or if you've got sort of video cameras, you can probably stream it into USB. But it might take some effort. That's everything. Any more?
How did the Raspberry Pi name come about?
It's originally based on Pi for Python.
But they wanted a fruity name like apricot. And they obviously couldn't go anything near an apple.
They could have BlackBerry or Apple. Any other questions? Okay, thanks very much.